time.
Well, I'm a pathologist, so I obviously loved and was fascinated by Hammer's Frankenstein films. The first Hammer film I ever saw was a film called The Evil of Frankenstein. It all started when I was about 9 years old. Our local television company used to put a Hammer film on every Friday night after news at 10. Luckily, my mum and dad used to let me stay up and watch it. I always remember I must have been an impressionable age and we used to go to school on a Monday morning and reenact it. Later on, I started to discover horror books and magazines, and then the next stage on was when I suddenly discovered that there was a Hammer Film Society in London. And that really introduced two things for me. One was like fans, so finally I had some friends who we could discuss these films with. I wasn't alone anymore. And secondly, I got a chance to actually meet some of the cast and crew who made the Hammer films. The thing that I find most interesting, and which I've been lucky over the years to acquire, is actual props from some of the old movies. This is a glass eyeball from Hammer's last Frankenstein film with Peter Cushing called Frankenstein and the Monster from Hell. It was actually made by an oculist who makes all the eyeballs for Madame Tussauds. So it has got quite a lot of intricate detail in it. It does look quite realistic, actually. And the model castle, which I've just acquired, this was used for a film called Kiss of the Vampire. It was basically this chateau where the vampires, this coven of vampires live. I've always wanted to write a book, and obviously Hammer being great love in my life, I wanted to write a book on Hammer films. Problem was I couldn't find a publisher, so rather than just sort of lose the project, finally I decided, well, what the hell, why not go ahead and publish it myself? And the way I did it was to actually turn it into a part work as a magazine. As I say, I'm a pathologist. I like to go to the cinema and escape from that. I don't want to be reminded of the job I do, which unfortunately some of the horror films of today do. But Hammer's films were more revolving around story, the acting, subtle makeup, subtle shadows. You saw the creature at the end.
It happened very, very strangely. I conned the manager of a very large cinema in Dublin to allow me sort of potter around on a Saturday afternoon. And he gave me things, little jobs to do, but it meant that I could see the double bill, have a meal in the restaurant, see the late night double bill, and these were all horror pictures. I mean, I saw a great many of the Hammer films that actually are the films now that are very difficult to see because they're just not around. The whole way that Hammer at that time, the way they just put all of their forces together, and you knew that the image, the first image of Dracula, the score, just that magic moment when Terence Fisher just allows the camera just move across the setting, and then we are just into another world altogether. I just associated with it. It was the texture. The texture right across the board. You have the texture, obviously with the settings, but you've got the texture that's created by the lighting cameraman. You had a man, Jack Asher, who was just... He did stunning things within the structure of the set. Hammer worked on such a shoestring, but they had such talent. They had people who were really 100% committed to their work, and they did the best within the restraints of the budgets.
I'd been at my granny's, and she'd had a pile of tapes there, and I'd borrowed one, and it was Scars of Dracula, and I sat and watched it. And there must have been something about that film, whether it was Christopher Lee, whether it was the blood. I went out and hunted out the videos and the broadcasts on TV, and you know, just something grabbed me in, and before I knew it, I'd fallen in love with the product. And then from that, you begin to appreciate far more. And there's this wonderful range of repertory character actors and fine performances and mute ladies in a direction that you know, is unsurpassable. And those early Hammer films, from the crucial period from the 1950s to the 60s, have this wonderful, vibrant Eastman colour. I'm from a new generation of Hammer fans. I was doing a personal website, and I stuck a couple of things up on it. And someone saw it and they liked it and they liked what I had to say, so I did some more, and I think it kind of progressed from that. And I'm finding I'm getting emails every week from people from all over the world who are, you know, in school doing projects and things, and they're saying, you know, I'm only 14 and I'm a Hammer fan, and I don't have many people of my age that are Hammer fans. And they seem to think they're the only ones, but, you know, I think there is this large number of young people that are really getting into them. I mean, some of the people at the moment in fandom that are writing about Hammer and being quite active voices are, in fact, you know, less than 30. You know, I mean, they're all young people. And they seem to be what's keeping, I think, the interest alive.
They're adult fairy tales.
It's the illusion. Completely and utterly, it's just the illusion. And Hammer encapsulated it.